I was close. Good evening, everybody. It is April, snowstorm season. Date, the 13th, 2020. Is that correct there, big guy?
2022.
2022.
Yes, sir.
I was testing you there.
My brother's
That's
birthday.
good. Nice. Happy birthday, brother Rap. We're going to call this meeting to order at 6:08. It is the joint friendship agreement meeting. And we have amendments or additions to agenda. Did we have any? Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Brown. Can I get an agenda approval, please? I have Councillor Waring on the end. All in favor? And that is carried. Adoption of the previous minutes, 4.1 of March 9th, 2022, the Joint Friendship Agreement Committee meeting minutes. Any errors or omissions? Any errors or omissions?
It's perfect.
Then I will take that as a motion, Mr. Rabb.
Sure, that's good.
Excellent. We have a motion from Councillor Rabb. Seeing none, all in favor? Excellent, thank you. Delegations, we have none. Old business, 5.1, Minister of Municipal Affairs. I think we have a letter up on the wall here. I think we all adopted this for information at our last council meeting, is that correct? So this is just information for the public. So if I could get a motion to adopt for information, please. Councillor Bain, thank you. Any comments regarding the letter? We've all done this before. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. 6.2, Minister of Municipal Affairs letter, intermunicipal collaboration framework, request for extension. So this one we've also seen. Or have we? No, this is the new one.
This is the new one.
And this is his approval through January 2025.
Yeah, so that's the beautiful thing. So why don't you give me a motion and then we can talk about the letter and then we'll
I'll
call
give
that.
you the motion to accept this information.
Excellent, thank you. Would you like to speak to the letter?
Just really pleased that he's given us such a lengthy extension to get this done with our municipal partner. And I think the following one is the same letter to Deputy Miller, or Reed Miller, I guess, for Delilah. She's the Reed, right?
Yeah. Excellent, any comments? I agree, same thing. It's really nice to see lots of room in there for aligning the ICFs with the MD, so that's great. All in favor of accepting for information? That's carried, thank you. 6.3 is essentially the same thing, just confirming that we have the same extension with the MD as municipalities roll forward. So, take a motion. I see it, Deputy Mayor Veronica Kloiber. Yeah, I paused there to regain consciousness of the last name. Right? It was going to be Veronica Vandenhoek, and I was like, no, that is not correct.
Close. You said no.
Yeah. I was denied.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, so motion to accept for information. Would you like to speak to Heather?
Yeah, I can give you that.
Deputy Mayor already did.
Oh,
Yeah, you wanted to
Yeah, no.
speak to it now.
I'm good.
You're good. I'm good with it. All right, excellent. Any other comments on the letter? He's winning his money so far. It's not bad. All right, all in favor? And that's good. Thank you. That's carried. Okay, new business, waste management bylaw draft. So let's throw that one up. Okay, so everybody has seen this once and we've all accepted the first reading. I just have questions regarding the clarity on the actual numbers because we had a post on Facebook today. The Western Wheel had some numbers and then I verified some numbers. Apparently they're not the same numbers. So,
Between the two towns?
yeah. So just want to make sure you guys and Turner Valley had the same bylaw. So the numbers are exact.
Page 14. of the actual bylaw.
Okay, so that's our, now is that the same page that we had from Turnabout?
Sometime.
It's just the same dollar. Same amount.
Oh, sorry, okay, Deputy Mayor Haldick?
Yeah, it's the same amount for the sunshine, but if the newspaper is reporting how much difference there is in the billing, which I think we're only charging 40 now, so it was $7, but the newspaper is reporting 9 something anyway. So we need to get that corrected.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure
And
we're
I'm
crystal clear.
not sure what BD's current charge is, do you guys know what?
37.
Okay, so yours is the bigger.
Ours is the $9. the
Okay.
difference.
So it's just ours is wrong.
Okay, so we approved the same bylaw. We're just talking about the differences between residents from TV. It's
Yeah.
750. And here it's 9 and change.
9 inches.
9 and change. But otherwise, we both adopted the exact same identical bylaws.
Or we're going to have it, yeah.
Perfect.
So the article, if I may through the
Yeah,
mayor,
okay.
the draft proposals include the bi-monthly fee, which we have here. But where the error is, this would be an increase of $9.54 for Turner Valley and an increase of $9.27 for Blacktown residents. So
Excellent.
that may need to be confirmed.
Yeah, so that's in the newspaper. So we want to make sure those numbers go in the next article very clear.
Well, 710.
I would actually have her edit this article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make it as read.
Okay, perfect. In that case,
That's actually wrong.
any comments on the bylaw? Councilor Bain.
Article 7.3. We are requiring the residents to place the carts in a certain position on the road. And yet if something is damaged by someone other than the town, we are saying, residents, we told you where to put it, it got broken, you have to pay for it. I don't agree with that.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Haldane, and I actually want to check in on this warranty that we all talked about as well.
Yeah, we're hearing similar concerns from residents, especially wind damage.
Yeah.
Right? So you put it out where you're supposed to, and that's not your fault, the wind would have.
Yeah.
So, and it's damaged, especially we have concerns with the parts. They're not quite as heavy as the blue one, right? So, yeah, I hear you. That's one that I wanted to talk about tonight. So,
Okay, I'm gonna ask a question over here. So Sean, we asked at our last meeting if you would look into the 12-year warranty program to talk about what does it cover in general? Does it cover the damages that are extensive, or is it 7.3, as Councilor Bain points out, fall into place?
If it runs down the street in the wind and somebody runs over it, that does not cover that. It will cover manufactured defects, wear and tear, lift, breaking off, wheel, issues with wheels, etc. However, it does not cover damage associated with being hit by a vehicle or being run over by the property owner or wind damage, which is similar to what our existing bylaw, by the way, and speaking of Craig, it has not been a significant issue. That's not been an issue. It's not to say it won't be in the future, however.
Okay, all right.
We did suggest perhaps we look at it on a case-by-case basis, but it's very hard to prove. For instance, if a homeowner backed over it accidentally, how would we know if it was going down the street and somebody ran over it, or whether it was just damage in the person's own driveway? So now you've got to deal with these sort of case-by-case.
Yeah, exactly. Follow up, Councilor Bain.
No, I really don't have anything else to say, that, other than you don't make a rule that you can't enforce. I would suggest that if someone complains about this, then we really don't have a legal leg to stand on. I put it where you told me to put it. It's your responsibility, not mine.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Councilor,
So can we change that up, that it would be addressed on a case by case instead of Any carts that have been lost, stolen, or damaged? Have we changed that clause up?
Yeah, we could do that. We'll go to Lalonde and then Holiday.
I think you've got to go case by case, because if everybody puts their carts out on Thursday, say for example, last week, we had 80, 90 km/h winds, you may have phone calls. But if you get a call on Tuesday that somebody's car got damaged, is it really their fault? Did they leave it out on the street for 4 extra days? Well, then it is your fault. You need to pull that cart back up to your house. If somebody took it out of your laneway or your alley and dragged it down the alley and run it over, well, then there's an argument to be made for support. So I think case by case for the damage on the carts, it's inspections, it's having the public work guys look at it, who's at fault, who's responsible, stuff like that.
We'll go Holiday, then Ted, then the John.
I'm going to write my question.
That's right.
Yeah,
Text it in.
yeah, I think the word intentionally damaged would be good in there. And then I like the dealt with on a case by case basis.
Okay. So we've got Ted, John, and then Brenda.
I would agree with Sean that it doesn't happen very often. And I think, what, 2 or 3 times?
Yeah.
2 times in
In
the
the
past.
last 10 years.
So it's probably not gonna raise its head, but I look at that and I said,
I tend to agree. John?
I'm all in favor of doing it case by case. Because the truck, when it drives around, does have a camera. So they know when they picked up the bin and where it was picked up and it was put down. So if somebody was to call the next day, if the bin is down. There's a lot of evidence to work through that will support one way or the other. And if it's such a windy day at 80 or 90 km/h, yeah, you're going to help them, aren't you? So it's common sense.
Yeah.
Case by case.
Okay. Mayor Kelly?
Yeah, so just in regards to CAO patients, this being an existing bylaw with the current bins, I haven't seen the new bins yet, but I have heard that they are potentially a little bit flimsier, maybe not as strong as the current bins. So I think it is wise to at least have this conversation, because even if we haven't seen concerns in the past, if these bins are lighter than the ones that we currently have, we are going to see more issues. Speaking for myself, I put my bin out in the morning and I bring it back in at night when I come home from work. I think a lot of people do that. 80 km/h winds with a full bin probably won't go anywhere, but when it's emptied and then left on the road for 5 or 6 hours, there is a great potential there for those things to be tossed around. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Okay, thank you. So I think there's definitely some favor for case by case I'm hearing. And you know, to speak to Ted's point, if I could, if there's only been 2 or 3 in 10 years, really that's what a reserve policy is built for. So if someone has a vandal run over the bin, for $80 you just replace it and happy that's right? Deputy Mayor?
I guess I'm the unlucky one because I did have someone hit mine and I had to pay for it, so the last 10 years. So I think that we can also look in a year, we talked about this in our council meeting, if we haven't put enough in reserves for wind damage and carts, that we can increase it, you know, review the bylaw in a year's time if we need to put in a little more reserve money, that $2 fee.
Mm-hmm.
But we can assess in a year, and hopefully it's all good. So
True.
I make a motion.
Heather did.
Oh, she did?
But
No, I didn't. The
she
motion
wanted
for it.
to.
All right. You got one? Nope. All right. I don't know. I got it.
We were just discussing, so-
Direct administration to revise them.
Sorry, Chad.
Am I able to speak on another point, or are we still talking about 7 points?
7.3 for now, and we're gonna get a motion for 7.3, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Just motion for direct administration to revise 7.3 to assess damage on a case by case basis.
Exceptional circumstances may be addressed on a case-by-case basis.
Sounds good. Lisa?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Through the chair. You also spoke about intentional damage. Did you want to add that in 7.3 as well? Because I think your assess should go under 7.2 and then your have any carts that have been lost, stolen, or intentionally damaged by any party?
Any carts
Or
which
does
is
the
deemed by the
case-by-case
manager of public
basis
works
cover
or their
that?
designated to have been damaged by the town during collection of waste or intentional damage will be replaced by the town at its cost.
I think 7.2 speaks for itself, but 7.3, I think is.
Well, 7.2, I think, is where they're saying intentional damage. Charlene, you want to clarify that?
Yeah, 7.2 is if the town, and or their contractors damage the carts will be replaced by the municipality.
Should we specifically mention wind damage?
Not in 7.2, but in
7.3.
7.3, if any carts, and this goes to the point that I believe that Captain JPAC's talking about, that any carts that have been lost, stolen, or damaged by any party, person, or event. So that's the part that you want to have intentional damage. Is that correct?
I don't know if
Is
it's
that- is that-
necessary, if I may through the chair, I don't know if it's necessary to include the word intentional, if we're reviewing the case by case, right?
Yeah.
Because it becomes a little bit redundant.
I would worry if somebody backed over it accidentally, it would be intentional.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Case by case.
So in 7.3 is where we want that, will be
Will be assessed
assessed,
by the town and replaced.
and the cost may be invoiced.
Oh, that's
Let's just put may.
Oh, you did, no.
Hey, Sean, you're pretty good.
I just said we could add at the end that exceptional circumstances may be addressed on a case-by-case basis.
As a
Yep.
standalone comment, that's perfect.
I like
Okay,
that.
that's fine.
Okay, so let's have 7.3 read back to us in its entirety, if we could, with the amendment.
Any cars that have been lost, stolen, damaged by any party, person, or event other than as outlined in section 7.2 above will be replaced by the town and the cost be invoiced to the owner of the premises. Exceptional circumstances may be addressed on a case-by-case basis.
Perfect. I like that.
Yeah, that covers off just any potential cause. So, okay. Any further comments on 7.3 before I call the question? Brendan's good over there. All right, one more. What? On 7.3?
No.
Okay, so all in favor of the motion? Excellent, thank you. That is carried. All right, Vandenhoek is up first. Councilor Vandenhoek?
Yeah, just talking about 8.1, specifically point C and D, where it says, where a household is required to be serviced by an alley as per existing collection routes, and then it states how it should be put out. And then D, in cases where an alley service requirement does not exist, all carts placed in the collection street, and then it describes how it's to be fixed up. So what my concern is that where it says C and it says alley as per existing collection routes, and in D, where it says an alley service requirement does not exist, I'm worried that that could have prevention of alley routes in the future. There are several places in Black Diamond that could probably beneficially go service to alleys. So I would just like to see the wording of that changed and have on C, where to be serviced by alley, all carts from such households units shall be placed in alley. So remove as per existing collection routes. And in D, remove the in cases where an alley service requirement does not exist, and then just put in cases of a street collection and then place how the wheels should be facing the curb. Because I don't want to limit any place being prevented to have an alley service that could be a benefit to the route, especially with property damage and having 3 carts all at once. And I can explain so many reasons, but I just think it's a good thing to remember those little pieces there. You could, just a thought on that, if I may through the chair, you could start C with alley route collection and then have a semicolon or a colon. Yes. And then you could do D, street collection with a colon. And I think that would clarify the manner which is picked up. Yeah, and manner which is picked up, and not limit any kind of route collection changes.
Councilor Rob?
Yeah, if I understand you correctly, Councilor Van, you're saying if we dropped off the part where it says
as per existing collection roads, because you say it might change, you might want to add one later on, so.
It could have,
If we just drop that part, is that your biggest concern, if we drop that and left everything else as is?
yeah, basically, I just don't want to
You
limit.
still have yours, Councilor Gordon, but.
Yeah.
But that's what you're looking for, to get that existing stuff.
Exactly, I just don't want to limit any kind of route changes that could be
Makes
possible.
sense to me, yeah. Okay, Councilor Thompson?
Through the chair to Nim.
Yep.
Think, correct me if I'm wrong, Charlene and probably Sean, or one of my fellow council members. One of the reasons why we're trying to avoid alley pickup is we don't, in the wintertime, we don't service alleys. And so that becomes a problem for people that have alley service. I don't believe in Black Diamond we have much for back alley service, do we? Two streets?
2 hours.
2 alleys, yeah. So I think that potentially could be an issue with your amendment, Chad, but I'd look to admin to kind of clarify that, because I do know that we don't clear alleys. And so it was a tough thing just getting garbage pickup, remember, in December 22nd for both towns, because just getting residential streets.
If I may, I know for a fact that newer communities in Calgary also don't service alleys, but the garbage does run in the alleys as well. And they are much tighter alleys
Oh, yeah.
with the same size trucks.
I'm
So
sure.
there could be no argument that I could see that could really state that you couldn't put a truck down many specific alleys. I could see some where the clay might sink too much and damage the structural infrastructure underneath, but at the same time, you have that argument.
I'm gonna go to Charlene first for comment on that, and then I'm gonna come to Jeff.
So currently, the reason why this is in the bylaw like it is because our third-party contractors have been the ones that have identified the routes. They do not want to see any route changes at this point in time. There is, and I don't know how many alleys are there reflected in
Not very
the
many,
valley.
not very many.
There isn't very many. It will not be 3 carts out on the road every day, because the days will be different. We're just trying to secure the days for recycling and organics through our working group. But that's the rationale for that clause being in there.
All right, thank you. So, I'll go Councilor Rapp first. No, somebody else had any. Oh, sorry, yes, please.
I read it a little bit differently, where a household is required to be served by an alley as per existing collection routes.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean the routes today are gonna stay the same forever. What it says is that whatever the existing route is, if we change the route, that is then the existing route. It is the route along the alley. And if we change that, then, yeah, okay, there isn't a requirement to put your garbage can in the alley anymore, so because the route has changed, you place it in accordance with the route that exists. Is that, am I reading it?
No,
Interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
that's how I read it.
Yeah, I read it more of like, I guess,
Yeah, I can see both ways.
a strict ways to where if you were to be providing a contract on this collection service, you would be reading that and go as per existing routes. So you would be bidding as per the existing routes provided by the last route, not providing a new route to be bid. So I would see it as a limiting point, more as a you might be able to do what you want. I find it as a very limiting point.
Okay, Councilor Rabb.
Andrew?
Andrew, I'm not sure we finished with C. I'm prepared to come back to it. Sure. But I don't think C should be where it is. I think D, E, F, and G should come before C. The reason why is because the normal place to pick up garbage is on the street. So I think you want to, everything like D says, in the cases where it's on the street, you shouldn't put something by alley. I think the alley should come last because it's the minority of the pickups. Most of the pickups are on the street. So I think D, E, F, and G, which pertain to pickup on the street, they should be, and then you have the exception, which is the back alley. Let's see at the end as opposed to where it is, in my opinion.
Makes logic sense.
Well, because most of our pickup is on the street. And we can't forget about the comments on C, but I think C should be last because our main pickup is on the street for what, 90% or more of the houses probably? So D, E, F, and G should be, this is all street pickup, and then you say, in the event there's a back alley pickup, then we'll go with these rules.
Councillor Dunn.
So, yeah, to Councillor Bain's point and to Chad's point for that matter, the interpretation of this could be, we can see that it can take it either way. So this might even, I mean, if there's such a change, then we can even revisit that to make it more clarified. But at this point, it's, unless we're willing to completely change this to make it specific for each route, it's like, it can be interpreted regardless of that.
Because administration, administration, what do you think it was? E, F, and G.
Hold on, I'm gonna go holiday and then I'll come back around.
Yeah, I would just, if you take out existing and use the word current, I think it takes care of the semantics on that. But I do agree with Councillor Rob in the fact that we're talking about alleys first, but the majority of people are on the street, but it gets buried in cases where an alley service requirement doesn't exist. Let's just say for regular on street.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And then address alleys later. It's a minor thing out there.
It's logical.
It makes sense to me. I don't know about that.
My thought is it's covered, so I could care less if it was A, B, C, or D. There's a line that speaks to the alley, it is there. There's a line that speaks to the road, it is there.
But most of our pickup is on the road, so they should be prioritized. And C, which is alley pickup, should be, this is the last option.
Councillor Dunn, in regards to your recommendation for change, by removing the as per existing collection routes, do you still want to look at that, or have we circled back around now to where we're kind of comfortable again?
I mean, I would still like to see it, but I doubt that it's gonna end up passing, so. I mean, I like the current idea. I think that works very well to just, because at the end of the day, when I read something like that, I would say a bylaw would be what I cannot do and work exactly what I can do, right? So if I'm looking to, again, go and bid on something and looking at the collection of it, that's how I would read it as per clip. So anyways, but that's, yeah. So I don't really know how to proceed with this today. I think everybody's kind of made their point that the motion probably would not
I
pass.
think Councilor Dunn makes a good point, but at least current, because their current could change. It is now, but it is now.
Well, what if we use the word approved routes? That way, if we approve at any point, we amended it and move along.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that too.
Can I ask a question of clarification? Who's approving the routes?
Or in our case, I guess it would be Mr. Beaton, or in their case, Thomas, the contractor. This was a topic of discussion when our management group came together to review the bylaw. Before we presented it, this specific topic was addressed, and that was the word brought through that group. But I do see the councilor's perspective on that.
Deputy Mayor.
How do people feel about parentheses, or at the very least another comma?
Oh, yes. Now we're getting to brass tacks.
So maybe just change your.
Yeah. Why don't we get approved and current in there? I think we'll do it.
Or existing. I like approved best.
I like the-
I'll put a motion, change that to approved.
8.1C, change as per existing to as per approved collection routes. I'm good with that too.
And look,
I like it.
go on. You want to come in there? All right. Any further comments with the minor change from existing to approved? Being none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Teamwork.
There you go.
Right on.
We wordsmith.
We're getting approved. Let's do it. minor
and
things.
Councillor Thompson.
I'd like to make a motion to move D, E, F, and G before C. Street pickup is the main priority.
And re-letter them accordingly.
Yeah, of course. Just take the street pickup first, then the.
Align the sequence.
Of course, you have to, you know, just, I mean, you're not gonna move DE and have C again, but. The
Yeah.
content of
You're gonna
D, E,
go
F, and G
D,
should be here,
E, F, G, C.
alley pickup is last.
Very important motion here, folks.
Yes, it is.
Very important.
Can I get further into
I
this?
can lose it.
Yeah, ask for clarity.
Okay.
please.
All right, I would make a further, a friendly amendment to that, to make D now C and make E, F, G points 1, 2, and 3. Under point C.
Under point D, under point C.
Under point C and D.
I think that's very friendly.
So if we were just looking at it as on the screen, it'd be D,
No, be
1, 2, and 3.
C, then 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
D moves to C.
Yeah, and it's 1, 2,
It's very
3,
confusing.
and C swings down to the bottom.
D, F, G becomes point 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, I like that.
I'm
Okay,
gonna get real codey here.
okay, so
Technical
we had a friendly amendment, so we're just gonna vote on that, which will then, if it passes, changes your motion to the recommendation, and away we go, we're off to the races. So the amendment
Made.
by Councilor Vandenbroek,
Yes.
everybody clear on that?
Yes.
I'm fine with this amendment.
Sorry, your administration is unclear.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. You're in favor?
All right.
Okay,
so you're moving point D to become point C, in which case point C would become point D, but points E, F, and G would be subs of C as point 1, 2, and 3.
New C or old C?
new
New C.
New C,
New C.
which is in current D.
As Ched said, the old C become the new D.
I thought E, F, and G were part of D. Yes.
They are.
They are,
They are.
that's why they're gonna.
But that
point
whole
1,
thing
2,
is gonna
3.
move up.
Okay.
And
These
becomes
become
C.
C, then it's 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so now we'll go to Charlene.
So then
Charlene,
that would mean, E, F, and G, so carts not placed on the sidewalk or in any such locations as to interfere with vehicle or pedestrian traffic is a subsection
Of the.
of
C.
where people place their carts on the approved routes, on the road,
No, it's on the
No.
street.
It's on the street.
on the street.
No, I think there's no one to vote.
I mean,
It's
you're right.
not-
F and G
It's not a
could apply to both.
subsection of this particular piece,
But E,
because then it would become a sub if we did that. And I don't think that when you're doing the bylaw, that would be correct.
Residential waste has subs.
This is about placement,
You know,
okay?
sorry.
I think if you just put C and D down, and maybe,
just flip C and D. Because it's so.
they now become F and G.
C,
F is useless.
Let's go over to Heather.
Who's up first?
Common sense here. Heather,
I just don't, if I was gonna vote on this, I would vote against it. I think it's clear enough the way it is. It's in
there you go.
it's in an order and it's easy to find and just leave it be. I think it's, you're just complicating it.
I think Ted and I can relate to what happens when we split hairs too much.
Oh, thanks. for
Mine's
that.
happening many times. There you go.
Okay. You want to proceed with your amendment?
I'll do it if yeah.
if that's good with administration, I'm fine with it, yeah. I mean, D has to be changed. This needs to go back to administration for some fine tuning, because D says, right now it says, in cases where an alley service requirement does not exist. That means that most of our services alley, and just in case there's a couple that aren't, then no, it's the other way around. It's on the street. D should, all that crap should be out there. So we, in carts, for street pickup, carts shall be placed on the wheels and so on for part D. Then I kind of like the point 1, carts must not be placed on sidewalk. Number 2, carts must be placed on the surface. Number 3, cars must be placed not easily tipped over, which is Councilor Vandenbroek's amendment. And then you go to D, where the household is required to be served by an alley as per, what's the word, not existing, not
Approved.
approved about, that should be D.
So it's
So
just a
C,
shop.
I'm 1, 2, 3, but it doesn't matter if you go C, D, E, F, but get that C, which is alley pickup at the bottom, because it is a smaller minority.
So
of
why
the
not
pickup.
just, why don't we just simplify this and say, move C to G?
I'm
And
good with
shift
that.
it all up, and then it does everything spoke through as Councilor Thompson said, right? And we don't have to worry about doing points 1, 2, it's just
I like
each of the
Chad's
letters.
idea, but I'm okay with that.
I'll take my motion.
Okay, so can you make your motion and just to move C to the bottom
C to the bottom.
and everything else?
And well, and you've got to get rid of this D there in case
Plus,
where an alley
it
service
moves up.
requirement.
It moves up.
But take that crap out, just say on street pickup, all carts are replaced for street pickup. Because that's where, you know, in cases where alley service requirements not exist, if alley's down the bottom now, take that out, just say for street pickup, all carts are replaced. Take in cases where alley service requirements not exist, just say for cart.
Okay.
There,
And then
if
it's
if I might, F and G, as Chad has pointed out, Councilor Adams has pointed out, that applies to alley or street pickup, right? So
okay.
I think you're confusing, gonna confuse the issue there.
Well, there's no sidewalk in the alley. So that's E.
F and G.
And F and G, level surface. I'll put those at the end then. So, but leave F and G where it is, move D and E and move C. You guys can figure it out and make it look more
Can I
packaged.
get some dice?
I won't say anymore.
We're gonna roll some dice.
I'm being quiet.
Councilor
It'll be hard.
Holiday.
That's so much.
Can we just begin D with where the same wording as we use in C, where a household is required to be served on the street as per approved collection routes?
Yes, sure.
And do it that way.
I'm a trusted administration of that. Fine, do.
Just, but all parts shall be placed for collection on the street.
Gonna go
So
back
where-
to Charlene first. Thank you, Charlene.
Okay, so just so the group knows, any other amendments, we need, just so that you're clear that the rates need to be passed at the next council meeting. If there is amendments in the wording in the body of the bylaw, we can make those and bring them back as an amended bylaw. But what we're going to request is all of the amendments be heard, because once this goes back to our individual councils, if there is something not right, then the bylaw in itself will not pass. We need the rates done by June 1st, or May 1st. For the billing period.
Yeah, we're doing second and third of the next meetings. Agreed. So,
But it can-
But what I'm going to suggest to JFAD is that there is a chance and a risk, as minor as it could be, even when we all leave here, that we're not going to be satisfied with the wording when it gets back to individual councils. We need the rates of this bylaw passed by the 1st of May. Okay? So an option would be to go through all of these amendments, pass the bylaw in itself, and then we bring it back for an amended bylaw for the wording changes. So that it meets the billing purpose.
Yep. Okay. Very clearly,
That's just logistically.
yeah, very clearly, what wording would you like to address? We've beat around a whole bunch of ideas. Now we've said yes, no, we said let's bring administration back to clarify it. We're gonna put a motion on the table, let's put it on and vote on it. If it fails, no big deal, everything stays the same. If you'd like to change something, I'm gonna ask you to make the motion.
Oh, I thought I had. I thought I had to move C, which is alley pickup, to the end. And everything else to stay the same except the wording in D, in cases where an alley service, but if we can't make that big change, then we can leave it like the way it is. I mean, it doesn't sound, I thought we could amend bylaws here and then bring it to council and vote on the amended bylaw. Because we do it all the time. We have a first reading, we amend it, we have second reading and third reading. That's the norm, I thought. But anyway, I want C to be at the end because I think alley pickup is the least important. Main place to pick up is a street. And I agree with Charlene, she says F and G pertain really to alley or street, I guess, so we leave F and G anyplace. Put D if you like, put C between F and G, then I don't care.
This actually reads as if alley pickup is the main way of doing it.
That's right, and that's not the way it is.
Yeah, and then if it's not alley, then we'll have an alternate.
And so it's not a huge change. It's
C to the bottom.
C to the bottom or before F and G if you want to, I don't care. Okay, just F and G pertain to both.
Come right back to you. Cindy, you had.
Yeah, so I say just flip C and D and begin it, instead of saying in cases where an alley service requirement does not exist, just change it to where a household is required to be served on the street as per approved collection routes.
Yep.
And the wording's the same as what we just approved
Yep.
for the current C.
Yep.
And it comes first, because that applies to most people. I don't think you have to worry about E, F, and G. Just
Well, E is pertaining to the street though as well.
because I think they're arguing about, they don't like where an alley service requirement doesn't exist, because that's everybody, besides a very minority of people. So let's just make it where a household is required to be served on the street as per approved collection routes.
This is the nice illustration, whoever's doing
Does that sound good?
It's very simple.
Yeah,
I think it's a simple change. I can switch it
Just
from-
so-
So now when you make a motion, you can say C to the bottom and change the front end of D to read as such. Okay, now we'll just take, let's.
C to be G,
Third time.
No, this is
Just
putting it
switch C and
down
D.
clear.
Just switch C and D.
Okay.
Leave E, F, and G alone.
It's the same. C now becomes where a household is served by street service, all parts shall be placed, blah, blah, blah.
That's D, it becomes C, right?
D becomes C.
Yep.
E stays the same, F stays the same, G stays the same, or, pardon me. So E now becomes D, F becomes E, G becomes F, the old C becomes.
No, I'm just proposing C and D get pushed. Just C and D.
I propose C gets placed after E. So it's G, move up, C, and then G.
That's what you want.
If I ask if everyone understands, how many people are actually gonna say they understand?
D and E pertain to street pickup. C pertains to the alley pickup.
Yeah, we know that.
That's
It's
fine.
just, it's just a place. We're making a motion to simply place C where?
G, it now becomes G.
Comes to G. C,
Let's do what Cindy's doing.
C to G for the record. C to G. Okay, that's the motion. Any comments on moving C to G?
and change the words.
All in favor? All opposed? It fails. Leave it alone. Fails. Leave it alone. Good. Excellent.
What do I change in the wording of the D and D? Sorry.
Hey, throw it out there. I'll
Okay.
call a vote, no problem.
I just want that in cases where an alley service requirement does not exist, because that's 90% of people. So where a household is required to be served on the street as per approved collection routes. That's all I want.
Okay. All right, so it's gonna call the vote.
Just want to make sure we got the wording correct here.
She's got it written down as well. Any questions, comments on the motion?
Can you read out the motion, please?
Yes.
Changing D's first sentence to read,
Where a household is required to be served on the street as per approved collection routes. So it's the exact same wording as we're using to begin C. Just cleans it up, so D. So there's people that get alley and there's people that get on street. And so people don't have to wonder, do I have an alley service requirement? Like, 'cause that's a weird wording. So,
okay?
Okay, so this is the PC one now. When the household is required to be.
Served by an alley.
Yes.
I'm not sure if the alley won't be.
Okay, just hold on a second, let me get my things going.
Hold on. It's D, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, on D.
Okay. I just have to do something for a second. Does it say?
How many have to update your
I came in here quite happy with everything. I was ready to go.
It's not picking up my words.
It's okay, just put it up there so we can read it because we're gonna vote and whether it passes or fails.
I was just trying to make sure Mayor Kelly also had access to see it.
Oh. There you go.
I'm
Yes.
sure he's awake at the gym.
I think camera.
He's so
There you
captivating.
go. Mayor Kelly, can you see that Word document now? No?
No.
Not sure.
I was able to see the agenda. Excuse me. I was able to see the agenda a minute ago, but now I'm split screen. I've got Charlene's still photo and John, or sorry, Councillor Waring right there as well. Hey, John.
Okay. All right.
And then Chad's done. Or Daryl's, actually.
Mine are painted, man. You have my hands.
Okay, now I can see the word stuff going on.
Am I gone?
Nope, I'm still looking at this file.
This file?
Nope, I'm looking at your server.
Oh, that's great.
Okay. Brendan, do you understand the first sentence of D is what is being proposed to get changed?
Yeah, in a nutshell, yes. I'm just gonna give you the short yes.
Okay. Enough that you'll vote on it?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good. Any questions regarding the clarity of the first sentence of D being changed to read?
Where a household is required to be served on the street as per approved collection routes.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. If you can hand that sheet back to Charlene and them. Veronica.
So after all that, I just want to be extra stupid clear on this. We are amending bylaw that is in my friendship agreement agenda that says the town of Black Diamond. At some future date, your bylaw that says the town of Turner Valley will be amended.
To reflect the exact same word.
They'll be exactly the same.
I have more questions.
Okay.
So in the agenda, it only says the town of Black Diamond. I just want to make sure that we are voting on identical bylaws, save for the name.
Recommended.
Right, but when it comes to our respective councils, these bylaws will be identical, save for the name of the town. And the cost and Schedule A will be identical because that's not what's shown in my agenda.
The cost will be identical.
Okay, I just want.
Our individual towns have slight differences because we cost a little bit more.
No,
Less.
they're identical under the new bylaw.
No, the bylaw is, but right now our
At the
rates are
moment,
slightly
they're
different. So we're 100% identical, right down the line, other than the names of the town, top of the list.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Where a household.
Okay.
No, you missed the word ah, where a household.
Just drawings.
Yeah,
Right.
where a household.
First,
Good catch.
Yeah, this.
Oh.
Uh,
Oh, got it,
Yes, there
right
you go.
there.
A household is to be served on the street
Oh.
as per approved collection routes.
where a house is required.
It's English.
You need a word required there, Cindy. If you want to match it to C,
Approved.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, is required to
Approved
be
collection
served.
routes.
I'll just give it to you. I have it right
Yeah,
there.
there you go. Okay, pertaining back to bylaw 2011-24, is there any further amendments councillors wish to present?
Is required.
If there are none, and I am seeing none, then we can just take a motion from councillor Dunning to present the amended bylaw to councils at their next meetings for approval. And of course, that would be second and third, but that's for consideration. For consideration, sorry.
So yeah, we.
That part.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, just bylaw 202205, I'll bring it to the next council for approval.
Yeah, their bylaw number is different.
Yeah.
So just call it the waste management.
Yeah, that's
bylaw.
all waste management bylaw.
Waste management bylaw.
Excellent.
I,
Which one is that?
If you want to just send it on, yeah.
here, yeah, I think we should have two motions identifying the bylaw numbers. Because they need to be identified. One for Black Panther and one for Sugar. That's my opinion.
Legislative, do we need that?
Yeah.
Individual bylaw numbers for both towns? In the
We
motion?
just refer to the waste management bylaw.
Yep.
Recommend that it be approved.
So-
At each council soon, at their next.
As per Councilor Dunning's motion. Okay. All right, so we don't need to go into that depth. We both know what the waste management bylaw is, and it's recorded for prosperity here. Councilor Dunning has a motion. Any further comments? All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. I can see Brendan back there. Excellent. Can we take a, let's say, 8-minute bio break, and we'll come back and we'll move into closed session. Actually, why don't we take the closed session motion now? And then we can do recess after. Okay, recess now. Recess.
But not in February.
All right, Councilor Gordon, we're gonna get a motion to go back in camera here. Mayor Kelly, are you back at the fence? I saw you walk past us.
Yeah.
Okay, he's here. All right, can I get a motion to go into camera, please? Councilor Lalonde, all in favor? And that's under section 24, just so that's clear. All right. 21? 21, sorry, 21. All right. Thank you. We'll have the recording turned off for now. So let's just clarify that for the entire group, just because it's a good education portion. So earlier I said, you know, we're bringing the people into camera, and because they weren't full in camera, then they're not allowed to vote at the end because they don't have all the information that was discussed prior to. That is not the case. That only pertains to
Public hearings.
public hearings. So you can't walk in on a public hearing late because you might have missed one resident speak, in which case they would consider you a very bad counselor, and you voted without hearing me talk. But Hazel and Curtis can vote because it is not a public hearing. So must vote. Oh, I like your word. It's very legal today. Okay.
As long as they vote in favor.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna go to Mr. Lalonde, Councilor Lalonde, for the first motion, please.
I'm gonna recommend that administration bring back to the May 11th JFAC meeting a draft of the hiring requirements for a human resources specialist. And I'll leave it fairly vague so administration can work on expectations, qualifications, timelines, budget, cost, etc. If everybody's okay with that?
That sounds perfect.
So where the nomination? Nomination.
Amalgamation.
I'll leave that vague.
Wow, yeah,
They know. We'll leave that vague.
Yeah. It'll come back framed properly.
This is, I'm just asking for the draft, so in May we'll have a kick at it.
That sounds good way to me.
It's an organizational specialist, isn't it?
By the time it comes back to us, it'll be better. Okay, excellent. Any questions or clarity for the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That is carried unanimously, thank you. Councillor Thompson, workshop for council JFAC.
That council, or that the committee direct administration to do a doodle poll to organize a amalgamation implementation plan workshop before the first, or by the mid-May. Only want to Saturday in there?
I'm gone the first 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, to be held, the workshop to be held in May,
Yeah.
the doodle poll to
Yes,
send out
yeah,
by.
for the workshop to be held in May.
John just said he's gone for 2 weeks.
That one, that John?
I'm back on the 11th.
Good.
You could look at it that way.
Do the 14th.
No, because we're gonna have JFAC on the 11th, right?
Yeah, I'll be on the plane on the 11th.
You can zoom in.
On the plane,
Maybe we'll be on the same thing.
New
You
York.
know what, we'll let Doodle handle it, and maybe if things align the way they have to, and we need to bump JFAC, and that's doable, then we can. We just gotta take the best numbers we can get because we're also busy.
Well,
So-
if it's gonna be a full day, we could move the 11th to the 14th.
JFAC is on the 11th, just move it to 14th.
Can I do it on Saturday the 14th?
No? I don't think we-
Like I say, we're just gonna have to take the best we can get, and the Doodle will, so please fill out the Doodle with every available opportunity, because if there is some shifting to be done, we can look at it that way too.
This is for the workshop. JFAC wants to see the terms of reference
Yeah.
for that
You
HR
could do it at the
specialist. So you could do that on the
True
11th.
enough, true enough.
And it could even, in fact, go out earlier so everybody could have some input
Yeah.
before the JFAC meeting. So if John is away, if Veronica is away, they can have their
Yeah, that's right.
first
No, but
glance,
workshop
if
is
it's
separate.
ready in time, if it's ready in
You
time.
don't have to,
Okay.
if you're gonna have the workshop 2 days later, you might as well just cancel the JPAC meeting and do it at the workshop.
That's what I propose.
We can do
Do
that in the Doodle.
that too.
Making sense, making sense, all in favor.
14.
Excellent, thank you, that's carried unanimously. La, 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 la.
I'm playing golf on the books.
Not now. Plan for a full, and if we use a half and we're satisfied, we can book it. Any other motion, didn't you have something that you were supposed to reiterate? I've got some HR, I've got parade, flag, branding, celebration ideas, that's all workshop.
I had
Debate comes back to committee. And then we got our.
a promotion person.
I have a question regarding the waste management bylaw, and maybe not necessarily a bylaw, but being this is a brand new program for the community, is there plans with administration in 3 or 6 months or the start of first quarter next year to review how it's worked and report back? Okay, that's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Do we need to
Yes.
make a motion to direct administration to look for a company to do logos and all that stuff?
Yeah, premature.
All right.
I'm sorry, but you-
Following up on Lalonde's thought line, the educational component rollout date, what is that? Any idea? 'Cause we're-
As soon as the brochures will be that completed, that will, are you talking about the educational?
Yeah, so the brochure.
So the brochures will be completed. They should be done by next week. They're the printers. We've arranged for sessions at the school, at AG, at Rona. Your public works manager and myself and some other team members will be going out there and educating people on three streets. I don't know, maybe
When we set up our
would like to
tent on
come too.
parade day, same thing.
I was gonna say, if there's any other opportunities, if we're gonna do something for amalgamation,
What?
bring up 3 cars.
Barry Hazel's got to have it.
Okay, Hazel, go ahead.
Excuse me, would there be a chance to have a session held at the library?
We're working through that.
Okay, I didn't hear the library, that's why I'm asking. Thank you.
Yeah, they have not been confirmed yet, so those other places have been confirmed.
Okay, thanks, Charlene.
All right, seeing no further questions, Cindy, did you have something?
I'm just wondering if we need to direct administration that after JFAC to do like a highlights update the website, or do we just rely on the paper to provide updates and decisions throughout the amalgamation process over the next 8 months? How are we going to communicate?
I think that's part of the implementation plan.
Okay, so that we're gonna just have that at the workshop?
Yeah.
You know, if you want something in the paper, the best thing is to write it and submit it to the paper to put in what we want and not what she thinks we said.
Okay. All right,
All
that's
right.
the workshop.
Okay. Seeing no further inquiries, we shall adjourn this meeting at 8:45. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you for the members of the public who watched. And everybody have a great Easter weekend. So.